Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. So, Thanksgiving is quickly approaching. It will be here next week. And so I thought today I would do a really quick video for you making a centerpiece for your Thanksgiving table. Now, I don't know if you followed me for very long, but if you'll watch any of my videos on Facebook, everything I have done has been autumn colors. Oranges, reds, burgundies, all kind of autumn colors. Today, I thought I would do something neutral. Oranges and reds don't always go with everyone's decor, and so we're going to do a neutral centerpiece for Thanksgiving. So I'm starting out with, this is just it's a resin container, and it's kind of up on a base or on a pedestal. And so this is just Oasis. It's just wet foam Oasis. I am taking it, I'm using a sharp knife. I cut the foam, and then I am going to cut the top, and I cut it in half, and I'm just wedging that foam right into that container. Next, I am going to take just some waterproof tape, and this waterproof tape is just going to hold my arrangement in place. It's important that your arrangement stays together after it's made. And so if you are going to take this arrangement to someone else's house, you want to make sure that it's not going to fall apart. So all I'm doing is I'm just taking this tape, and it's harder to tear than usual, and I am just taping this foam right down into this container. Then you want to fill the reservoir with water. Make sure that the container you choose will hold water. It's important that it doesn't leak, because if it leaks, the flowers aren't going to last as long. And so you want to make sure that the reservoir will hold water, because if it has plenty of water, the flowers last longer. Okay, so I have taped my Oasis into the container, so it shouldn't go anywhere. I'm going to start out by greening the container, or greening the foam. So I have lots of beautiful eucalyptus. This is seeded eucalyptus. This is a gunite euc. This is, let's see, this is a silver dollar eucalyptus. These are aurelia leaves. And then I have some pretty maple. Look how pretty that burgundy is and that maple. Okay, so I am going to start out with a little bit of eucalyptus, I think. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this more of a long, low arrangement. I'm going to do it more in a linear style than something upright. The reason I'm doing that is because I want, when you sit down at your dinner table, I want you to be comfortable. I don't want you to feel like you have to take these flowers off the table. I want them to stay on the table. And so if I don't make the arrangement too high, then you can sit at the table and be able to talk across the table to someone else without the flowers being in your way. So I am just going to take this foliage, and I'm just kind of popping it in small pieces, and I'm tucking it right into this container. And what I'm doing is I'm making these two sides longer than I am the front and the back. All right, let's go with a little of this silver dollar eucalyptus. And eucalyptus is so pretty. It's a wonderful color. It smells so nice, and it lasts a good long time. And the color is so pretty. I love the color. To me, that's the best part of eucalyptus. And it comes in so many varieties. It's really a pretty, pretty foliage. And so what I'm doing is I am just popping that foliage and just filling in the container. And I'm just trying to cover up that Oasis. All right. I'm going to use a little bit of this seeded euc. And what this seeded euc is going to do is it's just going to kind of drip down the sides of the container. Help me cover up that where I put that tape. And it's just such a pretty accent foliage. It broke, so I'm just popping it again and tucking it right in. Now you can use scissors to cut this greenery. I tend to use a fingernail, so it doesn't make for very lovely manicures, but that's all right. Florists never have pretty nails, and if they do, oh goodness, I wish I had pretty nails, but I do not. So if they do, they have to go get them done pretty often. Okay, so this is just a Japanese maple. Actually, I have a sweet friend who cut this and brought it to us, and it's just beautiful. I love this burgundy color. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to kind of use it like it's a line flower and elongate these sides. So I'm just taking it and tucking it in. I'm going to cut some a little short, tuck it in, but I love this color. And to me, it's not so orange and yellow. It's more of a neutral, but it's a pretty fall. Okay, so I have that foliage. Now I'm going to use this Aurelia. It's just a really pretty large leaf. I love its texture. And I'm just going to tuck it right in and give us just a little bit of interest. It kind of gives you something different to see in this arrangement. So you can kind of see how I just kind of tucked that right in. I may put this one right here in the top. All right, so there's our foliage. And I'm going to kind of tilt it towards you so that you can kind of see how pretty just the foliage is. Isn't that lovely? Okay, so next what I'm going to do is the flowers I have chosen to work with, I'll show you. I've got, this is Safari Sunset, comes off a little bit of a burgundy color. It's in the Protea family, just really fun. We have kale, miniature kale. And it's in a green. It has a tiny bit of white and lavender in the throat, but it's really pretty. I've got some white roses. These are Tibet roses. I've got some bells of Ireland, the green bells. I have green hydrangeas, green mini hydrangeas. We've got, this is called Scabiosa flower, just a really pretty little white Scabiosa flower. And then this is, it's called Chocolate Queen Anne's lace. It has a little bit of a maroon hint to it. All right, so we will get started. I'm gonna start out with my hydrangeas. These are mini green hydrangeas, just a pretty lime green color. I'm gonna pull all the foliage off. And the reason we do that is because it causes the hydrangea to stay hydrated better. When a hydrangea is cut and it drinks the water, the foliage is going to be the first to get hydrated. And so if you'll pull the foliage off, it'll go straight, the water will go straight to that head instead of hydrating that foliage. And so it just keeps that head firmer longer. So all I'm doing is just popping off that foliage. Tucking these pretty green hydrangeas right down in. And if it's got a bad petal or two, just pull that right off that flower. All right, next I'm going to scoot my arrangement back over so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, next what I'm going to do is put these bells of Ireland. Now, you can see at the tip of that bell it has some little foliage. It kind of looks a little bit like celery foliage. I'm just going to pinch that right off. Now, the reason I'm pinching it off, for me personally, it looks better pinched off, but it also causes this bell not to curl so bad. Bells of Ireland kind of have a mind of their own. You can kind of see how they all want to twist and turn and go whichever way they want to. And so if you'll pull that little tip of foliage off, it helps them to straighten up a little bit. And they're not so twisty. All right, so I am tucking a few bells of Ireland in. I just love bells. I love the color. and they go with everything. They're just a really pretty line flower in my opinion. All right, I'm going to next use this little tiny baby kale. I love it. Most often, actually, the same friend who brought us this maple also brought us these little tiny kale, and they have been so much fun to work with. They're just so pretty, and they really kind of do a little flower. You can kind of see how it's a perfect little flower. I'm going to turn it around so you can see where I tucked that kale. See how they're just perfect, beautiful little flowers tucked in there. Next, I'm going to come in with my Queen Anne's lace. It's a large flower, so I think if we come in with our Queen Anne's lace, we'll fill in, and then we'll tuck in some of our smaller flowers. But I'm just taking this Queen Anne's lace. Now, the reason I love this variety is it's hardy, so it holds up really, really well. If you get well, here in Mississippi, Queen Anne's lace grows wild on the side of the roads, and it's white. It's a pretty little white lacy flower, and it grows wild on the side of the roads. Well, it'll hold up in arrangements, but not nearly as well as this really pretty chocolate. And I have just been in love with it this fall season because it works beautifully in flower arrangements. So I'm just leaving a little height here and there. And as long as it's not completely obstructing your view, it's okay. All right, let's see. Next, I'm going to tuck some of these pretty white Tibet roses. So I'm going to be sure and pull back any petals that don't look pretty. And I'm just going to kind of tuck those really deep down into this arrangement. I just love that pretty white. And it really pulls more of the neutral tones, I think. But with the fall leaves, you can still feel the hint of fall. So what I'm doing here is just pulling back any petals that don't look pretty. I'm going to turn it around. Make right in there. Okay. Next, I'm going to use this pretty white Scabiosa. Now, Scabiosa comes in different colors. It comes in purples, it comes in a maroon, it comes in a white, and a lavender. This is actually Scabiosa flowers. They also come in pods, and the pods are fantastic. Like, it's a little gray pod. It's really neat, but these flowers are just real lacy and delicate, and I think they're really pretty in an arrangement. So I'm just taking those and cutting them and tucking them right into that oasis. Now the Scabiosa has it has a little tiny straw. And what that little straw does for us is it keeps their little heads from bending over. Their little heads are a little heavy for their stems. And so the grower will put this little straw on each flower to keep their little heads standing up so they don't dip for us. All right, and then next I'm going to use a little bit of this Safari Sunset. We like Safari Sunset here because it does come in that pretty burgundy color. It's not real dark, but it does have a burgundy hint. Here, our flower shop is located in Starkville, Mississippi, and that's the home of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And so our school color, our college color, is maroon and white, or maroon and gray. And so we use a whole lot of maroon in our arrangements. So that's why we like Safari Sunset so much. And it paints really well. I don't know if you've ever seen me do any videos where I have used a floral paint. It holds paint really well. I'll do a video and show you how to paint flowers, but this really holds paint well. And so it's nice to, if it's not as maroon as you'd like for it to be, you can certainly add a little more maroon to it. Okay, so there's our flowers. Next I'm going to come in with some dried materials and a little bit of artificial. I have got these fun little white pumpkins, and I thought these are perfect for a Thanksgiving centerpiece. So I'm just going to take those, they're on a little wooden stick, and I am just going to take them and tuck them deep. I'm going to turn it around a little bit. I'm going to tuck them right down into that arrangement. And you can see how sweet that little pumpkin, and it really gives it that fall feel. So I'm going to turn it around to let you see this side. And in this arrangement, because it's going to be a centerpiece, you want it pretty on all sides. So that's why you can tell that I've got flowers all the way around, because it's important that when you see it on all sides, it's pretty. So I tucked in those little pumpkins. I'll turn it back around so you can see this side. So I've got those little pumpkins. Next I have, these are called lotus pods. And a lotus pod is just a really pretty brown pod. I'm going to tuck those in. And all I'm doing is just tucking them in deep. And see how, I don't know if you can see from where the camera is, but it's just a little brown. It's dark brown, so it's not easily seen, but it gives a great texture in this arrangement. This one has a short stem, so I'm going to take a little wooden pick and I'm going to add it to this stem. Tuck it right in. All right, next I thought I would put just a little bit of wheat. And so this is a natural wheat. It's dried materials, and they didn't dye it or anything like that. It's just a natural color. So I'm just going to take a few stems, and I'm going to give us just a little bit of, I'm going to leave them a little long so it's a little airy. And kind of gives us a little bit of movement in this arrangement. But I like that it's natural and it gives kind of that natural fall look, but it's not those oranges and reds. Now don't get me wrong, I love oranges and reds, but that's not for everybody. So I thought, let's do something that's more neutral, that someone who doesn't love the oranges and reds of fall might enjoy at their house. So all I'm doing is just tucking a few stems here and there. It doesn't take a whole lot, just however much. It's all in your preference. All right, and there is our neutral fall centerpiece. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and if you have a comment, comment down below. If you enjoyed our content, you can always follow us on our social media platforms that are linked down below.